Thank you so much. Please kindly mute yourself. You can put on your video if you desire, but please mute your microphone. Thank you so much. So it's a great pleasure to welcome you to the November 2024 edition of the MSME Africa Business Growth Series. And well, of course, as we rightly know, today we'll be looking at a very important focus because this couldn't be more relevant at this time, considering the current economic landscape here in Nigeria. We are aware that the Nigeria's inflation for the month of October recently came in at 33.88%. Doesn't seem like that might be easing anytime soon because we are heading towards December. I mean, it's important for us to look at how we can make smart business and financial decisions. Well, let me say, my name is Aramide Folorunsho. I'm your host today. I'm a broadcast journalist. I'm a media and communications expert. So I welcome you today. So back to the conversation now. We know that Nigeria, well, of course, is the powerhouse of Africa. And while as much as there are challenges, there are also endless opportunities for small, medium enterprises and businesses. And making the right decision is actually key to driving that dynamic landscape. So today we also have incredible experts, industry leaders, entrepreneurs, change leaders who are going to be sharing practical insights and strategies to help us find ways or to navigate challenges and unlock growth. But let's get a brief of why we are here, the MSME Africa Business Growth Series, and I would be delighted to call no other person than the founder of MSME Africa himself, Mr. Sheye Olorotimi, to just give us a quick welcome address. Mr. Sheye.
Okay, thank you, Aramide, and good evening, everyone. Kindly permit me to do this without my video because I had to step away from the other device because of interruption. So I'm using a phone to do this. MSME Africa, like we all know, works at the intersection of media, enterprise development, capacity building, and community. And why are we doing Business Growth Series? Business Growth Series is meant to be a tool and a platform for entrepreneurs to learn how to grow and scale their businesses. And the idea is for them to come into a session where they listen to other entrepreneurs, they listen to experts, and they are able to exchange ideas with them. We've been doing this for close to 4 years. And I strongly believe that we're going to have a very, very wonderful and impactful session today, looking at the lineup of speakers, the two speakers that we have who are experienced, and then the antecedent of this session. So I just want to say, fasten your seatbelt, listen carefully, pay attention, ask all the questions, and then just get the best you can get out of this. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sheye, for that very brief and quick welcome remarks. So we have heard it from Mr. Sheye, basically just giving a summary of why we are here. And he's talked about the lineup of speakers that we have here today. And I know that we are going to have quite a lot to learn from our speakers. But before we jump right into the conversation, I'd like to announce to some lucky winners that are here today. You know, when they say come early, it's really important. So we'll be doing a giveaway at MSME Africa. And well, of course, I believe that a number of us here are part of the MSME Africa communities. So the first 10 persons in each MSME Africa community, we have 6 communities. The first 10 persons in each community, please just look for your admin, go to your WhatsApp community, look for the admin of your group, send them a message, your name, and tell them that you are in the meeting. You will be getting your gifts after this meeting. Thank you for joining. All right, so let me also add to that we will be having presentations by our 2 speakers, after which we will leave the door open for questions and answers. I know you probably have a lot of things to talk about right now, so we'll be giving that opportunity much later. To jump right into the conversation today, how can we make smart business and financial decisions? I am glad to welcome our first speaker for tonight, who will be speaking for the next 15 to 20 minutes. Dear speakers, I will turn off my video as soon as you begin to speak. But once you see my face, please know that it is time to round off. So my first speaker for today is Muyiwa Femi Pez. He is the MD and CEO of SME Small, which is smart business strategies for current economic landscape. Can I please get his profile here now? Okay, while we wait for that, I'll just go ahead with the one I have on my phone. Muyiwa is a consummate professional with almost 2 decades of extensive experience across both the public and private sectors. Please, can you hear me? Can you hear me? There was a disruption.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, let me just go ahead. Apologies for that. Muyiwa, I believe you can see the screen now. Okay. Muyiwa is a consummate professional with almost 2 decades of extensive experience across both the public and private sectors. A civil engineer by training, he holds a foundational certificate in accounting from ACCA and is an alumnus of Harvard Business School, where he obtained a diploma in general management. In addition, Muyiwa has attended various courses at top global institutions, further broadening his expertise. Muyiwa has served in senior roles across 5 commercial banks. His last role in the banking sector was in senior management at EcoBank, where he worked as the technical assistant to the CEO and subsequently as head of strategy implementation. He later led the bank's national value chain business before assuming the role of the head of regional SME banking team, marking the beginning of his dedicated focus on SME sector. Most recently, Muyiwa held the position of Director of Commercial and Business Development at the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria. In this role, he contributed significantly to the authority's commercial strategy before leaving the position to focus fully on his work with the SME Mall. He is the founder of the SME Mall, a platform offering quality, affordable services across legal, accounting and tax, HR, business advisory, marketing, branding, and technology support solutions. The SME Mall facilitates a seamless value exchange between clients, which is, well, of course, value seekers and service providers, that's value providers, with the mission of making essential services accessible and commoditized. Muyiwa is passionate about SME advocacy and has demonstrated a keen ability to identify gaps and opportunities within the SME landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Muyiwa Femi Pez.
Thank you so much, madam. I'm glad to be here, and I think this is my first of this series that you're all having, the MSME Growth Series. Well done to the founder and to the team behind all this. This is fantastic for the markets that we exist in. So basically, with respect to the topic that we're talking about, I'm just going to talk around maybe 7 key pillars. I thought they sent in my slides, but I'll just speak to them. So one of the first things I'll say in this period that we're having volatile macroeconomic indices where we have devaluation, cost increases, and a few other business challenges, one of the key things is to remain innovative. So one of the pillars we'll talk about is financial management, where you have to be able to properly understand your price structure. You have to be flexible in your price offering, because now you're beginning to see that customers are not able to pay on a wholesale basis. Although that extends a bit of credit risk, but you should be able to see how to manage that. You also need to start thinking of how to diversify your revenue streams. Because now you start to look at what business you're in and start to align with what we call necessities presently. So we know that there are some foolproof industries within any volatile environment. So you know that medicine, food and a few things and the whole value chain whether or not there's inflation, whether or not there's devaluation, some of these industries kind of thrive and all that. And then we also need to look at the side of exports on that side. Now, then another pillar, which is the second one, is operational efficiency. And when we talk about operational efficiency, we're talking about how do I make my business more efficient in terms of how we do things. So, for instance, I know someone that does juice and all that, and recently complained about the high cost of power. And what did she do? She recently acquired what we call a solar solution to be able to power whatever devices she uses for making that. It is more reliable. It may be expensive short term, but over the long term, there's reliability, and then the extreme value she'll get over the long term is there. Then you now start talking about how you can manage your office spaces. Some of us have so much office space that it will be good to either co-share or to rent out to others. We can also talk about localizing your input. Where do I get my input from? Did I used to get it from India, China, or US? How can I get it locally, or how can I backward integrate so that I can drop my cost of doing business? Then another pillar we'll talk about, the third one, is human resource management. So that human resource management area, we're talking about how do I manage my people? Should I go ahead?
Yes, please. But please, dear participants, kindly mute yourself. Thank you so much. You may go ahead, please.
Okay, so the third pillar I was talking about was human resource management. Now, in your business, how are you managing your staff? How do you keep them motivated? Right now, monetary compensation may not be the only way you can motivate them. So you need to start thinking of equity structures. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. I think
Okay.
everyone's having a bit of a network glitch. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
So we
you
need
may
to
please
start
go
thinking
ahead.
of how do we upskill. Okay, we need to start thinking of how we may upskill our staff. So now, for instance, we have people doing only one role. How can they do two roles? And then you can further increase a bit. How can you give equity? How can you give them flexible conditions that will manage their cash flow such that, I mean, things like work from home and all that, and under supervised conditions. And then another pillar that I'll talk about is collaborations. uh, we need to start looking at how can I partner with people within my ecosystem. When you do one or two things with others, it will drop your cost. Such things are things that we need within the market to be able to drop your cost. We're talking about tapping into opportunities in government when you're in a particular field. I'm sure there are possible opportunities within government that you can tap into and that you can look into to be able to drop your cost of operations or access to finance. And then also on that side too, you can also be more flexible and then look at what are my options with respect to my financing party, maybe your bank and all that, and see how they can collaborate and support your business. The fourth or fifth pillar is insurance and business coverage. A lot of SMEs in this particular time are saying that they're going through a lot, but one of the things we want to do is to ensure that we don't lose all. So a lot of times, most of us do not insure or underinsure. This is the best time for us to make sure that we insure whatever we have, most especially our PPE, property, plants, and equipment. Because if anything happens to them, we are going to have to double the cost of acquiring them. What this means is if I bought something for 1 million naira when dollar was 700, the cost of replacing it today with dollar devalued at to 1,700 is going to be about 2.5 times that. So that means I'll be looking for 2.5 million thereabouts to be able to replace an asset I acquired at 1 naira at 1 million when dollar was 700. So those are things that we need to look at. So the micro insurance market should be tapped into so that people do not lose out on any of their PPE and what they do. Then also, the last one is advocacy. And then where advocacy is, we engaging the policymakers and decision makers to be able to support the markets and to be able to give us the right products that will help cushion the effects of the present volatile macroeconomic climate. Basically, I think I've spoken to most of the pillars that are very important for us to make smart decisions in this tough period. This is one period where a lot of us should not be quick to access credits. This is one period where we should also be pushing our suppliers and creditors harder. And then it's also one period we should be pushing for collaborations more so that we can collectively survive the storm. We are all going through this, including the country itself. So we are only just basically doing the things that we need to survive. I'm sure we will come out of this in a year or two thereabouts. But we must admit that a lot of SMEs are going through a lot. So another area is we should focus on exports. Let's try and earn dollars in whatever industry. We should try and look at how in our value chain we can export and we can earn dollar revenues. Thank you very much. These are the slides, and I'm sure the slides will be shared with all of us for us to be able to look through. And I'm sure we can be reached on our details there. Thank you very much, Aramide.
Thank you so much. That was very concise, straight to the point. I like your 7 pillars that you have given. And I would like to also say now that we would be taking our question and answers. I think we can take it after you have spoken, then the next speaker can come around and we'll take all our questions and answers together. So please, everybody, kindly drop your messages in the chat box. As soon as we get to the end of the second presentation, we will be taking your questions. So moving on, I would like to welcome our second speaker for tonight, and that is Bidemi Oke. Bidemi Oke is the CEO of Flash Change, and he'll be talking on how to make smart financial decisions and embracing digital tools. Please, can I have Bidemi's profile on the screen? Okay, can we have his profile? All right, thank you so much. So Bidemi is talking about making smart business and financial decisions, and here's his profile. Bidemi Oke is the founder and CEO of Flash Change, a digital asset solution platform designed to meet the needs of the evolving financial landscape. Bidemi is a passionate leader, reputable for his commitment to driving innovation and fostering development within the fintech industry. Since the inception of Flash Change, Bidemi has worked closely with his team, demonstrating unwavering dedication to position Flash Change as the leading platform for digital asset trading and a glowing suite of financial services. Under his leadership, the team has achieved significant success with its flagship product, the Flash Change app, which offers customers secure, reliable, and easy-to-use options for trading digital assets. Bidemi's strategic acumen and vision continues to shape the future of financial technology, establishing Flash Change as a key player in the Nigerian fintech ecosystem. He's a graduate of the renowned Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, where he obtained a bachelor's degree in agriculture. Bidemi has furthered his expertise with certifications in business leadership and management from notable institutions, including the Lagos Business School and Startmore University Business School in Kenya. Bidemi, okay, please, you have the floor.
I might as well leave the floor to you. Looks like you have so much to say about Bidemi, okay. Well, hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Well done, Mr. Muyiwa. Sadly, you have been too concise, so now if I take time, they will off my mic. But it's all good. I trust you're all well. So first things first, I'd like to start with a disclaimer. Contrary to what some of us might think, this is not going to be a speech or a lecture. One of the things that I've come to accept is that no one really has all the answers. No one has it all figured out. But then it appears that we all have lessons that we have learned. And I would like to share my own lessons with you. Let's hope that it leaves you with at least one thing to take away. I'd like to start by sharing a personal story with you. I believe that's the one that taught me my first lesson about money. You see, growing up, I had a mother that placed a lot of emphasis on saving, right? To the point where mother was the ultimate go-to when all things seemed to be falling apart. Mother always had money somewhere. There's always money under her clothes, under the bed, under the pillow, always saving for a rainy day. And as impactful as that lesson was for me, the lesson to prepare for what tomorrow might bring, one thing that I've been able to see is that God bless her heart, mother is not a very wealthy person, which has led me to the conclusion at a very early stage, really, that you cannot save your way to wealth. It's not a strategy that works, no matter how hard you try. Imagine for a minute that you earned $20 an hour, and then you worked a 40-hour per week shift. It would take you 26 years to save $1 million. And that's imagining that you do not spend any of that money. Now, if you decide to spend some of that money, realistically, it would actually take to the point where you get to your old age before you can save $1 million. And according to record by those that we don't know, for you to become wealthy, you need a net worth of $2.2 million if you're in the United States, $4.7 million if you're in the United Kingdom. So yeah, maybe savings does not work, right? Now the question becomes, what actually works? I think I'm going to leave that to Thomas Stanley to point us in the right direction, because he said that wealth is not a matter of intelligence, but rather a matter of arithmetic. So he suggested that you can actually mathematics your way to wealth, the mathematics that we didn't like very much in school then, that I, for one, thought this is not a very good use of my time. But now I've come to see that I can use arithmetic to predict my future, right? And the wealth formula that Scott Galloway shared, that I have come to embrace, is for you to become wealthy, the condition is that your passive income be more than your burn rate. And what is your burn rate? Your burn rate is, quite simply, how much am I going to spend in a year, right? Sum all of that together, the money you spend on your traveling, the money you spend on your groceries, the money you spend on your giveaways, since we are a very generous people, right? And then think, how much do I need to earn in passive income in order for my passive income to be more than this? And your passive income is not the money you earn from your business that you have to show up for, because that already defeats the idea of passive. Passive is you don't have to do anything, right? So passive income is money that your money makes for you. It means that you could be sleeping for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and that money is still coming in, right? Now, some have argued that You want your passive income to be 25 times your burn rate. Now, that bit is debatable, but one thing remains candid, right? That for you to be wealthy, whether it is 25x or 10x, there has to be a significant difference between what you earn passively and what you spend in a typical year. Now, if you're someone like me that has aspirations to drive a Maybach, you see what that does to your passive income target, right? Now, in your quest to achieve all of this, right, there are some lessons that one would like to bear in mind. And these are lessons that I have had to learn the hard way. As I said earlier, I will be sharing the lessons of my own struggles, and I hope that helps. Now, one lesson I had to learn the hard way was defeating the urge to follow the crowd. FOMO, as we like to call it, the fear of missing out. And that process where you're starting to think, if my friends are doing this, and me, I'm not doing it, what happens when they go and buy Rolls Royce and I'm still struggling? Now, the event that led to me learning this it was an interesting one, really, because a day before all of this started, I was in a conversation with someone when I was advising them against it. Now, this was futures trading. So someone called me because, my experience in cryptocurrency, someone called me and was asking me about futures trading. And then I'm telling them it's not a realistic way to make money. Nobody can make money from futures trading. Now, fast forward to the next day. This is the true story. The next day, a friend reached out and then was like, is setting up a group chat for some of our mutual friends. It's going to be sharing signals for futures. We can make a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. All the sense in me told me that I have said no futures trading. But my friends cannot make it before me. I will not allow it. So, of course, I joined. And I think the first money I made from that was about $12,000. At the time, I had never made that much in a day. I remember texting my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, and telling her that, tell me what you want. I was feeling over the moon, like I was untouchable. You know how it can be when you make money that seems like you have arrived, right? But of course, fast forward to a few weeks down the line, I lost all of that and much more, right? And then came another hard lesson. Now, having lost that money, one would think that I would step away from that thing that wasn't looking so good. But then came what psychologists like to call sunk cost fallacy, right? The thought of, I have lost too much to walk away with nothing. You see, the truth is, in some cases, walking away with nothing is the best thing you can do for yourself. In some endeavors, there's just no way forward. As the Oyinbo man will say, if you're in a hole, the only thing you can do is to stop digging. But then, having lost so much money to that endeavor, I kept digging, right? I thought, I'm going to make my money back, which has helped me carve a lesson in my head that I will always hold with me. I will not greed is not a business strategy. It just is not. Now, this is one that is dear to my heart. The serial entrepreneur. I recall the first time someone called me a serial entrepreneur. I was beaming with a lot of pride because, I'd always been a business, a little bit more than an enthusiast, right? Maybe something of an obsessive, right? I walk into a place, I'm thinking, how are they making money here? What do they do when they don't make money? What do they do when people don't buy? All of that. Everywhere I walk into, I'm analyzing it, right? So, being acknowledged as a serial entrepreneur felt like an achievement. But I was wrong because business is not a hobby. It's not something you do for fun. As I've come to learn, In business, the best way to think about it, the only way to get anything real done is to see it like I am fighting for my life. Because in truth, that's what you're doing. You're fighting for your life and the lives of everyone that thinks you can, everyone that chooses to join your bandwagon, everyone that chooses to work for you, everyone that chooses to invest in you. And that cannot be happening, and then you're just playing around, trying your hands on different businesses. I used to run about 4 businesses until I realized that I was running 4 failing businesses. And then I took the bold step of, I'm going to abandon all of this and focus on flash change. Now, because my people will not let me tell you how much we are making at flash change, I can tell you this much. The success we have achieved at flash change has at least brought me here to meet with you fine people. And that's way more than I can say for where I was before. Now, another thing that one needs to bear in mind in your quest to become a guy investor is understanding real return. Because someone comes to you and says, hey, give me 10 million naira. Over the next year, I'm going to offer you a 40% return on investment. And then your initial response is to think, oh, that's a lot. Because when you really think about it, 40% is more than what the S&P will offer you. It's even more than what Treasury bill will offer you, right? But then you now need to slow down, right? And think about what is my actual return on this investment? Now, and a useful approximation to use is real return is the nominal rate, that's the interest rate they promise you, minus the current inflation rate. So let's say that for the 40% example, the inflation rate in your environment is 32%. That means that your real return actually comes to 40% minus 32, which is 8%. Now, after you have come to 8%, you now need to consider 2 other things. Number one is tax, because you're going to pay tax on the money. You're not going to rob the government. After you've paid tax on the money, you now need to consider another thing. What is my opportunity cost? That is to say, if I don't invest this 10 million naira with this guy, where else can I put 10 million naira and what can I get for my money? Now, when you've analyzed all of this and you are satisfied with it, then by all means, you may choose to invest. But if you're starting to see that this is not making a lot of sense, maybe you should just carry your money and go to Bahamas. At least you enjoy your life. Now, to the most sensitive one, the one that we all seem to struggle with. I mean, it's tempting to think, if I make $10,000 today, I want to make $10,000 tomorrow, $10,000 the next day. I mean, it's easy, it's predictable, right? But the reality is, for someone that's building wealth, you have to think long term. The goal of investing is not for you to make money every day. It's not for you to make money every month. There would even be some years where you're not in profit, but that's fine. The real goal of investing for wealth is for you to make money over decades. Now, I'd like to give you an illustration that might put this in perspective. Now, let's say in 2002, right, you invested $100 in the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is an index that tracks the top 500 companies in the US stock exchange. Now, if you fast forward to 2022, your $100 would have become $517.66. Now, that's about 8% return on investment per year. Now, this is where that illustration gets interesting. Between 2002 and 2022, there was the 2008 financial crisis that some people probably thought, I don't think we'll recover from this. And then there was 2019, the global pandemic. I mean, the changes that the global pandemic made to our lives, we are still living in that new reality now, right? Yet, through all of that, through two things that threatened our realities as we knew it, you would have still been in profit. The takeaway for you is that when you consider how a stock will perform in a day, how stock, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it is that catches your fancy, really, when you consider how it will perform in a day, it is a gamble. It is glorified gambling. But over the years, over decades, then you can actually predict based on, is this a good place to invest my money? Warren Buffett famously says, it doesn't look for bad companies to buy at a cheap price. It looks for good companies to buy at a fair price. One of his most impressive investment has been his investment in Coca-Cola. Now, that's not an investment in, will Coca-Cola go up today or will it go down today? It's an investment is in Coca-Cola's future, one that has continued to pay off. And that's how you want to think about investment. Where can I invest my money that it will continue to pay off over the years? Now, even with all of this in mind, because the truth is, it is impossible for anyone to learn finance in 20 minutes. I don't even think you can learn finance in 24 hours. You want to invest in a financial planner. There are people whose job it is to advise you financially. So invest in one. Bear in mind two things. You want to look for someone that is actually trained and certified to advise you. And then you want to look for someone that is a fiduciary. What that means is that by law, they're obligated to put your interest first. So it's not the one that you're going to give them your money and then they will see opportunity and go and invest for themselves. No. All right. I think that's enough talk on financial. The other part is, they said we should talk about embracing digital tools. Now, let's not get into details of these two, that two, that two. I think let's focus on the general idea, right? The point of a tool is to help you, to help us, right? And we can look at history as a pointer, because as they say, those who do not study history are doomed to repeat its failures, right? Now, in the early days of the calculator, a very common tool now, there were academics that actually had a legitimate concern that the calculator would somehow affect the academic growth of their students. An assumption that research has proven to be completely false. But one thing you learn from that is we are all susceptible to familiarity bias. There's a way we do it, we want to keep doing it that way. So when something new comes along, it's difficult to jump on it. Cast your mind back to when Sergey and Larry went to Yahoo to present their PageRank algorithm. And then Yahoo practically laughed them out of the room because it was something new to them. They didn't get it. And what was even worse was they were not curious enough. One of my favorite quotes is, be curious, not judgmental. In this world of digital tools, tools popping up every day, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your business, to your investors to be curious. How can this thing help me? And contrary to popular opinion of AI is coming to steal our jobs and all of that, yes, AI would redefine work as we know it. But it is still a tool. It is intended to enable not to replace. The computer did not steal your jobs. It enables it. The same thing applies to digital tools. In preparing for this, I came across a very interesting story. In 1993, when asked about the internet, Bill Gates said, "We don't care about it." Fast forward to 1995, he's releasing a memo about the internet. And now he's the one making predictions about what the internet is going to do, blah, blah, blah. Now, all of that points to the same trend, a human trend, really, right? That a new thing scares us. The old thing we love to embrace. But as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as business managers, it is our duty to be curious about the things around us. I'm seeing your face. Now that I'm seeing your face, I can say thank you for listening. And please, I encourage you to take your time to learn about these things, the emerging tools around you. And it's also important that you communicate with your staff, right? Because there's a real concern about what does AI mean for my job. It is important that your staff know that you are not looking to replace them. You just simply want to help them do their jobs better. Thank you very much. And I guess we'll leave the rest for questions.
Thank you so much, Bidemi. Okay, very insightful conversation there. You've just spoken broadly on our focus tonight, which is how to make smarter financial decisions. You have also rightly highlighted the current economic climate and some of the challenges that we face right now, fluctuating exchange rates, we've got inflation, and perhaps we also have limited access to credit, for MSMEs. I want to ask you basically where you left off the conversation, because we have now moved to the question and answer segment. And my question for you would be, what roles do technology and AI play in taking smart business decision? Technology is the current future. It's what we live in right now. AI, very important. So it's important to know the roles that technology and AI actually play in taking smart business decisions.
All right, so that you don't shut me up again, I think I'll keep it very short. The answer to that is where you can automate, you should, right? Artificial intelligence, technology, whatever it is, right? What they do for you is to automate your processes, right? If you were doing something manually and now you come across a tool that can help you automate that, what that means for your customer is you can deliver things for them faster. If it took you 24 hours and you have a tool that can help you make it 1 hour, that's a significant improvement. And you should jump on that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your response. I have a question for Muyiwa Femi Pairs before I fling the door open to other participants in the room. And my question is, you've outlined 7 pillars, strategies that will help in making smart financial decisions. I think I want to contribute to one of your pillars, which is you talked about operational efficiency, sourcing materials locally. I covered the capital markets and I looked at the financials of brewing giants, international breweries, Nigerian breweries, and champions breweries. And the question is, you see the actual giants, they made losses in 2023 financial year, even if you check the first 6 months reports. And then you have champions breweries, small champions breweries making profits. And the question is, how do you do it? They said they source their materials locally. So I just wanted to add to that. So my question for you would then be, how can entrepreneurs take business decisions that will help them to edge against inflation, right? I don't think inflation is going to ease anytime soon, to be very honest. And you know that they also have to remain competitive, and you're also trying not to lose your clients. So how can entrepreneurs balance this? Oh, you're muted. I think you have to unmute your mic, please. You still have to unmute your mic. Please, you have to unmute yourself because we cannot hear you.
Okay. You just unlocked it. It was locked by you earlier.
Oh, apologies.
Yes. Oh, no, no, not a problem. Okay, so basically, um, you spoke to something very interesting, that the production economy was declaring losses, and a few service industries, banks are declaring mighty profits and all that. And then also in a particular industry, some are profitable and some are not. You see, the key to staying successful in this climb that we are now is very strong cost management strategies. And like Mr. Oke said, if you don't manage what you want to achieve, you will not really necessarily be able to even get to the end of the road. So those CEOs looked at, what are my cost lines? What are their percentage contributions to total cost I carry? And then how can I continuously look for substitutes for them? So if, for instance, I am sourcing some particular products at 100 naira, and that is about 50% of my cost line, I will be looking for a way to source for that product at 10 naira, so that it drops it to 20% of my cost line and effectively allows my cost to be able to take other shocks. Now, what we have seen is that all those local breweries have embrace what you call the backward integration, where all their local materials are sourced back end in Nigeria. All maybe their bottling is done in Nigeria. They recycle their bottles. They have strategy for collection and getting them and all that. Now, possibly the guys that are foreign based, maybe they always use new bottles, so they don't recycle, which lowers your cost. They import from other countries, which is due to what we call their international standards. So they need to look at how can they compete locally and then reverse some of those things. It may not be any of their fault because they are foreign owned, they have foreign standards, they have foreign structures and all that. But for them to be able to survive, they need to be able to become local in their strategic execution. Now, another area that is very important is understanding your value chain from the farm or from a particular source up to the consumer. What are the different processes that go through it? When you understand your process flow, you will be able to see where in your process I can replace some particular items. So for instance, if you used to buy Nestle water, you will now switch to Aquafina. If you used to buy ABC, you will now switch. There's what we call brand substitution now in the markets. For instance, we'll talk about a product called, if we take Coca-Cola and Biggie Cola, we can see that now, because of the cost of this product called Coke, I want a Coca-Cola, but my money cannot buy a Coca-Cola. So there's substitution. I will buy the Biggie Cola. So, and then you now start to see that it seems a lot of all their production, all those things are local and everything. And so it makes it very much easier for them to be able to, it makes it very much easier for them to be able to compete and then for them to be able to stay relevant in whatever space they are. So when a guy has 10% of a cost compared to his competitor, he would obviously be more profitable because their revenue lines are not changing. The purchasing power is not increasing, it's even shrinking. So anybody who is able to effectively manage his costs will succeed strongly within this present macro environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that contribution. I would also be asking you another question before I go straight to the house. While you were speaking, you touched a bit on credit and funding types for entrepreneurs. What guide would you give, or what guide would you provide for entrepreneurs with regards to the type of funding options to embrace and the ones to shy away from at this time, based on their business peculiarities?
Okay. Access to finance has been one of the toughest things that MSMEs have faced in this country. And to be very fair, the big institutions, as much as they want to support them, realize that the regulatory challenges hinder them. So when an SME comes and says he wants to borrow from a bank, what they are not educated about is the fact that the banking requirement or regulation says you must have a form of collateral. Now, we have now started to also realize that due to that, the banks are not able to lend to those guys. So those guys get frustrated and all that. Now, um, unconventional financing is one of the ways most of these MSMEs survive. So we're talking about use of cooperatives, the microfinance and all that. But while they can use that, a lot of them lack the business structure that enables me to trust them to be credit worthy. So more of them try to access credit while unstructured, whereas they need a bit of structure for them to now be able to access that credit. So we, the SME advocates like ourselves, are going through a lot of work trying to make them understand how these things work. It's not as easy as tomorrow I wake up, I want credit. You have no history. Nobody can check you. Nobody knows what your bank flows are like, cash statements, and all that. So it's going to be very difficult. However, like I said, the unconventional sources of financing still are the best for them now because of the fact that a lot of them do not have collateral. The few that have collateral, the best they would have, the best most of them may have is land or a car.
Mm.
It's difficult for those guys that are nano and micro to be able to. So a guy that is baking in a gigi and is making ends and has turnover. I mean, the best you can do is how do I trap his cash flows? How do I locate the man? And what else can I tie to him? Maybe two guarantors from his system, or maybe he's part of a cooperative. Now, the reason why cooperatives are growing in this country is a cooperative has its own structure to be able to hold its members accountable. So it's like we are members of an association, so they can punish you, they can guide you and all that. There are rules, they can track you, they can find you. So most times it's sector specific. So you have Alaba Cooperative. All the traders in Alaba, you know their shop, you know who they are, you know their house, you know. So it's very easy for you to administer such credit. But when I have a guy in Akowajo who I don't know his shop, I don't know where to find him, I don't know anything about him, unless he belongs to the Bakers Association there or something, who then will vouch for him, then I can say I can give him credit. So those things make these guys' ability to access credit hard. So each sector should start trying to have its own cooperatives formed or associations before they become cooperatives so that they can build trust. And then upon that, maybe it's the cooperative that can be able to access the credit on their behalf, which
Right.
makes it easier for them. Because the cooperative will not be the one to give the guarantee to the bank. Then you will be the one to pay your cooperative the money that you owe them. You know, there are innovative structures around that. Then the microfinance options also exist, who take a lot more risk than the typical commercial banks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Femi Pez. I'd like to throw the Q&A session. I want to give an opportunity for other participants in the room to ask their questions. Please know that you can drop your questions in the chat box. And if you so wish to, speak directly, you may use the raise hand option. However, before I come to you now, Recall that at the beginning of the meeting, I made a very special announcement that we will be doing a giveaway for participants here. And please let me say this as a reminder. If you are joined earlier, we want to be giving 10 persons in each of our 6 MSME Africa communities. We have gifts for them. Please contact your group admin, go to your WhatsApp page, check your admin on your community, text the person and tell them that you're registered and you are in the meeting. Thank you so much. So we come back to question and answer for the general group. Somebody's asking if the video would be made available. Yes, please. Like Mr. Shayer rightly responded, you can access the video on YouTube after this session. And the session is actually being streamed on YouTube, so no problems about that. A question here, I believe. Simeon Morrison is asking, hello, MSME Africa. I am an entrepreneur and oh, this is his first time, but he's saying that his product is a tech-related product. And he wants to find out how do founders like, tech founders access both technical co-founders and financial investments. Okay, I think that question might go to Mr. Okay. Let me check another question now. Joy Ijeneme is asking, I had access to interns and couldn't onboard them because they weren't work ready. My question is that could I be the problem or am I too serious? Anybody wants to speak to that? Let me see if we'll have 2 more questions, then we'll take the first set of questions. Or if we do not have any questions, please, does anybody want to ask questions directly? Or if you have questions, kindly drop in the chat box. Okay, in the absence of none, I think we can go ahead and get responses to our questions. Thank you so much. Our speakers.
All right, thank you. I think Mr. Okay is basically the one that will answer these tech questions.
Let me take the tech question. I'll send the rest to you.
Okay.
Quickly, Aramide, could you repeat the question? Let me see if I captured everything.
Okay, this person is saying that he is an entrepreneur and his product is a tech-related product. So he's asking, how do founders like us, founders who have tech-related products, how do they access both technical co-founders and financial investments?
All right. So as assessing technical co-founders, that bit is community-based, right? There are tech communities that you can join. And yes, it's fine to have technical co-founders, but generally there are business communities that you can even join, right? Because one of the things that you can enjoy from a generalized business community is you might find someone that is looking to diversify and wants to invest in your own business. Say, for instance, you met a business person that is in the agro sector, has some money to spare, or is in all age. All age people always have a lot of money to spare. They might be willing to invest in your tech startup, right? I would recommend, though, that for the early stages of your business, look first towards your friends and family for an investment. At least for you to start. I'm not able to determine exactly where your business is at, but for the purpose of getting started, you want to look first at your friends and family. That's a good place to start.
Thank you so much. I have some other questions here.
Okay.
Somebody asked, would you like to say something, Mr. Femi Pez?
No, I'm on standby for the questions.
Okay, thank you so much. So there's a question here, getting all the steps ready, business plan, business financial reports, proof record about the business growth. what are the easiest way to access investors for our business? And another question is, somebody's asking questions about something investment related. I'm a real estate agent. I need bonds for investment. How can MSME assist? Well, if you would please respond to those questions.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take the first question. So basically, the question that has to do with the steps towards getting ready for a business. So basically, I think I'll go practically with steps. So one of the first steps is you need to first of all find someone that is possibly in that field and have a conversation with that person before we now get to the textbook side of looking for people that do business plans and financial model, which is what MSME Africa does, which is what SME Mall does, and other few other SME supporters. When you get that, then you're able to understand what we call your resource requirements in terms of what you need to be able to start up the business. Your resource requirements can be monetary, technical, or otherwise. So you would need to know how much of land, how much of capital, what kind of skill sets, what kind of equipment, and all that to be able to. Then also, when you now are even able to overcome that challenge and you now even raise the money and all those things and you start, you need someone that is called a business mentor. Your business mentor is the one that is going to guide you in terms of the challenges you face, how to retreat, how to quickly reshape, and all that, and how to test. Most times, what you start off with from your business plan, if it is not a production of items business, is not necessarily what you meet out there. Just like how we started out at the SME Mall. Where we're evolving to now is not what we started off at with the proper document. But the most important thing those documents do for you is they help you to be able to access financing. So that once you say you've run a business for 4 or 5 years, they say, okay, how much have you made? What is the projected cash flow and all that? And most banks will tell you they don't fund startups. So you need to have run the business with friends and family money to a point. Then when they see some particular numbers and indices and understanding of the business, then they'll be willing to put more money into the business. So that's my response to that particular question. Now, the second question about the real estate guy. The real estate guy, he's trying to raise capital for his real estate business. Okay. So now capital for real estate business is in two ways. Either going into land or I'm going into building and I'm selling. Um, presently, there's what we call a stagnation of that market. So a lot of people are not putting money into that market because the real return on the business is suffering due to the devaluation. So a lot of people are shifting their asset class from real estate into foreign currency instruments. So what do I mean by that? If I was playing in the real estate space in Nigeria now, with this devaluation, I will not buy a house in Nigeria anymore. I'm looking for how to go and buy a house in London or how to get a house in London and do the Airbnb or something. Because what I want to earn now is to earn foreign currency. The foreign currency against devaluation matches, so I do not suffer excess price effects. But now, what will happen now is in Nigeria, you say you want to buy a house, they are telling you 1 billion. Where are you going to see 1 billion to be able to buy that house? Because most of all of us have now realized that it is dollar assets we need. So if in real estate you are playing only locally in Nigeria, what then it means is you need to start thinking of how do I sell dollar real estate assets to my local people here? So you'll be talking to me and saying, Mr. Femi Pierce, I have a house in Botswana. Are you interested in buying? Because it's in line with my investment strategy. So your product is not aligned with the customer needs and also not aligned with the investment strategy of those guys. However, if you're playing in a space, for instance, where like now there's an influx of what you call one bedroom self apartments and all that, a lot of people are not able to buy 5 bed, 3 bed anymore. And the younger population want to be alone and all that. We are seeing an influx of 1 bed and all that. So maybe if you say locally, I want to build 100 1 bed apartments in a particular area, and I feel I have the demand for youngsters or UNILA graduates that want to start life on the island and all that, maybe that kind of asset, we can see a bit of investment there. Because what you see is you see effective return that will be more than if you were just trying to sell standalone houses at 500 million to people. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think that's what I have to say about that. And then with respect to bonds for real estate, I don't think Nigeria has very huge real estate bonds markets. I think it's still growing. Uh, so we have real estate funds like the mutual funds of is it UAC and a few other players like that that exist. But if we're really talking about real estate bonds, you'll be talking about instruments that are 25 to 30 years to allow you to be able to take mortgages and all that. Um, we still have a long way to go in that market development. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll be taking our last set of questions, and we'll move on to the next next thing in our line of item. Somebody's asking, please, I would like to know more about cooperatives. How can it be started and properly run with some associates in business that I am well acquainted with? There's another question here. How can one stay adaptable in a rapidly changing business environment? I think that question had been answered earlier, but of course, you may want to speak more. And secondly, how do I prioritize and manage risk in business decisions?
So, which one is Mr. Oke taking?
Mr. Okay.
I think because of your banking experience, you might
Hey.
want to take.
Okay, sir.
You might want to
Hey.
take the one about the cooperatives, sir. I'm able to take the one about staying adaptable, and
Okay,
then
and then risk.
there was one about risk. Yeah, I can take that.
Okay,
Yes.
you can. Okay. Oh, that would be nice. Okay, thank you so much. So basically, a cooperative, right, is an institution that is basically able to save and to lend. And its members allow it to be able to have some particular functions. So the minimum number in a cooperative is maybe, I think, 25. I know that one or two people around me have tried to do that cooperative thing. And you need to have 25 people that are involved in it to be able to start. You all need to be objectively aligned on the same goal. So, is it to save? Is it to lend? And then the cooperative basically then has two structures. On the savings side, you're going to save with a bank or whatever, but you need to decide what are our governance principles and operational principles. How much naira are we saving per year per person? What is our target and all that? Then on the lending side, our people need money. Who is going to fund it? Now, as part of that cooperative side, there's an investor part of it where you will have people that you can get that can be able to put money together for that asset of your lending. And then, you will now be able to lend to some of your savers under the guarantee of maybe a bank or the financial institution. So your lawyer will be able to guide you more on what can happen around this. And I'm happy to go offline to be able to explain some of the structures behind it. But in simple terms, you can form a cooperative, you and your friends, yes. You will go through a process with a legal advisor, yes. There are some key positions in a cooperative that need to be taken care of. That is audit, treasurer, and I can't remember what it is. It has to be there. And I think the minimum number for a cooperative is, I think, 25. So cooperatives are also under very strict anti-money laundering and checks for their formation because they want to prevent them being used for money laundering. So you need to also have strong KYC on the people you're administering into your cooperative. And you also have to now start having governance structures in place. Who are the cooperative leaders? Because not all 25 will be as part of your executive community. How will the cooperative operate? What are the things they will do? What is the location? Who are the people providing initial seed capital? All those kind of things are things that you need to look at and need to address before a cooperative is formed. So I think that answers the bulk of your questions.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Right. Mr. Okay.
All right, thank you. So I'll take the question about staying adaptable in an evolving business world. I'm going to limit it to 3 points. The first one is that you embrace the change, right? Now, when you look at the story of companies like Nokia, BlackBerry, Blockbuster, you see a similar trend there, right? In their days, right, they easily controlled their industries, right? But change started to happen and they all but ignored it. They assume that, oh, this will pass. This is just the wave of the moment. People will get bored. People will get tired of this. They will move back to what's regular, what they had to offer. Now, it turns out they were wrong, right? And the big lesson from that is in your industry, whatever it is that you're doing, however you're positioned, say you're the industry leader or you are a rising disruptor, you want to pay attention to what are the people around me doing. Look at what Google is doing now, right? Because AI is all over the place. And AI is starting to make people think, I'd rather ask ChatGPT than go to Google. Now, Google has an experimental AI, right? Such that if you search something on Google now, the first thing you see is the AI response. That's Google responding to the change in the environment. And that's what you want to do as a business person, whether you sell sachet water or you are a tech expert like our brother from earlier. What is happening in my industry? You need to know that, right? Another thing you want to do is you want to keep learning, right? It is laughable that some of us, even though we are business leaders, and by business leaders, it means that you are tasked with the decision making of your company. Some of us don't even follow the industry news. That's just laughable because how can you know what to decide? How can you know what comes next if you don't know what is happening in your industry? It is important that you learn. And also, please don't do it in isolation, right? Have friends, have communities. Just like someone asked earlier, where can I join communities? In some communities, I promise you, even the news agents don't come close to them. But everything that is happening in the industry, you will see in their conversations, right? And then the last thing is you have to plan flexibly, right? There's a lot of controversy around business plan, right? A lot of people have a business plan and they think, oh, I'll stick to my business plan, I'll stick to my business strategy. But your business plan becomes worthless the moment your reality changes. So for Flashchain, for instance, at the time when we were starting out, we had a different idea of who we thought our target customer would be. We thought it would be the last guy holding the cryptocurrency that wanted to exchange it. Turns out that the customers we attracted were middlemen, vendors. Now, we have two options. Stick to our business plan, continue to push to get the end users, or listen to what the market is saying, because the market has said to us that, sorry, we won't give you what you want, but this is what you get. And then we have now structured our business to serve those vendors that came to us, right? So please don't get stuck in your way. Don't get stuck in your idea. Someone says to never fall in love with your first idea. You don't want to do that to yourself. Be aggressive about change when the need arises. She's already showing her face again.
Thank you so much. I really want to appreciate all our speakers tonight. I do not think I'll be able to take any more questions, so I really apologize. Thank you all. But next we move on to the sponsor segment. I'd like to let every one of us know here that our sponsor for tonight is Flash Change, and we've just listened to Mr. Oke talk to us this evening. Please, can the representative of Flash Change please come on board and speak to us quickly? Thank you. And I would advise everyone to still stick around. I'd advise everyone to stick around. You never can tell whether there might be opportunities for you or one or two things to learn. So thank you, Flash Change.
Thank you very much, Aramide. It's no news that traditional methods for trading digital assets can be slow and insecure. At Flash Change, we are redefining the way to trade digital assets. Flash Change offers a fast and secure platform to trade gift cards and other digital assets. With unmatched speed in digital asset trading and secure, reliable solutions, Flash Change is built for users who refuse to settle for less. Our fully automated payment solution on the app helps move faster, achieve more, and stay ahead of the curve. Discover more at www.flashchange.io. Again, www.flashchange.io, or download the Flash Change app today on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store to get started. Take a listen to the video. Thank you.
Ogbeni, why did you like this? Why this logo? Me like who? See the cars in the flash. How fast do you think I mean? You won't check them? Very fast.
Yes, yeah.
Know that yourself, who go run all your trade on Flash Change app. Instant payment ASAP.
Hello, Motoraya.
Hi, Aramide. Thank you so much for playing the video. Lastly, do not forget you can download the Flash Change app on Apple App Store or Google Play Store. You can also visit www.flashchange.io, www.flashchange.io. Thank you so much, Aramide.
All right, thank you so much. We just saw the presentation from Flash Change, and that was just given by one of their representatives. We would be moving on to ADK Obong. I think she has something to tell us.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. This has been a really interesting and insightful session. Thank you so much for sticking. I'm sure we've all learned a lot from the session. Like Moturayo said, to learn more about Flash Change, please do well to visit our website and also download the mobile app for all your gift card trading needs and crypto trading needs. Thank you so much, RMD.
Thank you everybody for sticking through, and we are going to be drawing the curtains on the conversation tonight. I really appreciate you all for coming, but before we go, we'll be taking our vote of thanks and closing remarks, which will be handled by Blessing Ushola from the MSME Africa community. Blessing.
Thank you, Aramide. Good evening, everyone. Wow. So much has been said tonight, and I really want to believe that we've all learned so much. And first of all, I want to thank our speaker for coming out here, for making out time for us to speak for tonight. We do not take it for granted. And to our MSME community members, you guys are amazing. Thank you for joining tonight. Thank you for joining VGS November 2024. We do not take it for granted. Shares the growth in your business. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Please don't forget to join the MSME Africa community, and also don't forget to join us on all our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Keep making smart business decisions. Thank you so much. We love you. We hope to have you next time. I'm Aramide Folorunsho. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, Aramide. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Aramide.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.
Good night.
Catch
Good
the
night,
replay on
everyone.
YouTube. Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night,
Thank you so much for the
everyone.
speakers.